So you landed on this video because you're a real estate agent and you're curious about what is out there for my options when it comes to real estate brokerages and which one may be the best for me. You're in luck because in this video, we're comparing two brokerages, two cloud-based revenue share model brokerages, and one of them you probably haven't heard of before, but that's why you choose this channel, because we bring to you the most up-to-date information that's happening out there in the brokerage real estate space. And today, we're comparing Real Broker versus Y Realty. That's right, Y Realty. What is that? Well, I'm glad you asked, because we're gonna take a deep dive into everything that Y Realty has to offer and compare it against Real Broker. Which one might be the best for you? At the end of this video, you will be able to answer that question for yourself, because everyone's different and not every single model is great for every single person. So this is a great comparison video, so you'll want to stay to the very end to see what the big reveal is about which brokerage might be the cheapest and have the most benefits. Now, recently there are no shortages of brokerages trying to reinvent themselves, but you also have other brokerages that have come along after EXP and after Real Broker and have tried to do the same model. You have the smaller brokerages like LPT, Epic, ROA, and now Y Realty. So you have to give it to these owners of these brokerages, because they are realizing that this is the future. Cloud-based revenue share models are the future of real estate brokerage. I am 100% convinced, and because of that, I took myself and my team to Real Broker over 3 years ago, and it's been the best move we've ever made in my 21 years of selling real estate. But that doesn't mean it's going to be the best model for you, so you need to watch videos like this to educate yourself and compare brokerage to brokerage and which may be the best. But I tell you what, if you're not currently with a cloud-based revenue share brokerage, then I think you're missing the boat. And I think, bold prediction, in the future, the real estate market will dictate that is where the vast majority of licensees choose to hang their license and do business. And the reason is simple, because there's the most benefit to the agent in these models, which then trickles down to providing the most benefit to their clients for the best experience possible. But enough of that. Let's get down to the nuts and the bolts, the nitty-gritty of these two brokerages and how they compare to each other. Now, any brokerage needs to offer benefits to agents to attract them to their company. And Real and Y Realty are no different. They're going to offer certain things that hopefully will be very attractive to agents to want to join the brokerage. And let's start with leadership. Let's move to culture. Let's talk about technology, fees to the agent, stock options, and most importantly, potentially revenue share. Let's start off with Real. Now, when it comes to leadership, right now the CEO is Tamir. Then you have a CTO, Pritesh. You have a whole C-suite of leaders like Jenna Rosenblatt and Jason Cassidy, Dusty Oglesby, Dre Madden, and more. Tamir Pollock has taken Real Brokerage to a publicly traded company and currently the fastest growing real estate brokerage in North America, and it's not even close. There are currently over 33,000 agents with Real Brokerage, and when I joined Real Broker back a little over 3 years ago, there were only 6,100 agents. So the rise and growth of this company has been meteoric, to say the least. And without going into detail of the bios of these leaders, let's just assume they are very well qualified. Now, when it comes to Y Realty, I would say it is the same. You have good leadership at the top. Now, maybe leadership that's not proven as much when it comes to large-scale companies, but Tristan Almada is the leader of Y Realty, and he leads a phenomenal group of agents called the Labco Agent. That is a big collaborative group on Facebook that I believe started there, and they talk about real estate issues and they collaborate and build community. So he does a really good job at that, and he is a bright mind in the real estate space. Now, Y Realty is very new. They're only located in California and only in some small parts of California, but they have plans to grow the company. So we'll see how that goes. But when it comes to agent offerings, development, protection, and wellness. They really want coaching and ability for people to be mentored and coached somehow, some way through the company. They want protection with discounted health insurance and disability insurance. And of course, wellness with apparently 2 private therapy sessions, maybe per year. I'm not sure if you're an agent at the company. Now, agent offerings for Real, they offer a lot as well. But again, remember Real's ethos. Their ethos is to build and develop products in a model, a platform that anyone can come and bring their business on and flourish and succeed. So they're focused on building products that you can't just go buy off the shelf. And the average agent or even big brokerage owner that has 100, 200, 400 agents would probably never build themselves. They're probably never going to go public on the NASDAQ. They're probably never going to build a revenue share, huge, complicated model. They're probably never going to build their own technology from scratch. Probably never going to build their own AI and financial technology like a Real wallet, and the list goes on and on. So when it comes to agent offerings, yes, they do offer discounted health insurance. They do offer a charity platform called One Real Impact to help those in need. They do offer a ton of education through Real Academy, where you're talking 30 to 40 live classes every single week, not month, week, taught by elite status agents that know what they're doing regarding the topic they're teaching on across the entire country. And when it comes to a topic out there that's being taught on, trust me, if you can think of it, somebody is teaching on it. So the agent offerings at Real are incredible. There's more than you could even tap into most of the time. And with Y Realty, sounds like they're going to try to get ramped up to develop some type of coaching system and platform like that, but it's just not here yet as the company is very, very young. Now let's talk technology for both. Let's start with Y Realty. So Y Realty apparently offers a marketing and design studio of some sort. They have some social media templates and campaigns people can tap into or use or maybe buy. That's not fully explained yet. They have some sort of discount with using Lofty if you want to use Lofty as your CRM. They have services where you can pay them instead of hiring maybe a third-party marketing company. You can pay them instead and they'll do your marketing for you on a contractual basis, it sounds like. And they have a broker bot, they call it, which has some AI in it to try to help maybe agents with questions when it comes to talking to a broker. So it sounds like they have some offerings that they're really trying to ramp up some tech on, but I'm sorry, there's nobody that's going to compare in the broker space to the technology when it comes to Real Broker. Real owns their own tech. As far as I know, they're the only real estate brokerage that owns their own tech and built it from the literally ground, the dirt, the ground floor up to what it is today. And today it is phenomenal. It's a closed ecosystem of technology that has proprietary back-end systems. They don't have to use SkySlope or Dotloop or DocuSign. They have everything their own and it's extremely user-friendly. And because of that, because they own their own tech and the data, they know everything and can customize everything for each individual agent. And now you throw in the AI component, which they own as well, not white-shelved ChatGPT. They now can customize every agent's own back end and do specific things that are custom just to that agent because it learns about what that agent's profile is all about. So when it comes to the financial technology of things and the Real Wallet, basically Real is their own bank. I have an entire video on the Real Wallet, which is incredible. If there's one thing that's probably going to drive the stock price of this company in the future, assuming it all goes well in the future, it could be the Real Wallet. See, when Wall Street reevaluates a company as a fintech company in the real estate brokerage space, not just a real estate brokerage that happens to be growing, then there's real tangible value to get the stock price up and potentially quite a bit if it gets reevaluated potentially at some point in the future as a fintech company. Now that's a lot of what ifs, but the product is there. It's functioning right now and it's acting just like a bank, although it's not an official licensed bank. It partners with a bank to be able to do these things. But as money comes into the Real Wallet, there's so many different things you can do with it. First of all, it syncs with Apple Wallet, the Cash Pay app, Google Pay, Venmo, PayPal. It syncs with your QuickBooks so you can send your books and records to your CPA to do your taxes and your bookkeeper to do your P&L. You also have a debit card point system where you get paid points based on your average daily balance so the money's sitting in your Real Wallet, or when you go to Walmart to buy your groceries and you swipe the actual Real debit card that every agent gets, it gives you points for that. Those points can then be redeemed to offset brokerage fees when you close a transaction. I mean, how smart is that? And it's all done by clicks of a button because it's all interconnected with their own technology on the back end. But wait, there's more. You also have Real Capital. What is that? Well, because they own their own tech, they know your profile and my profile and everything about us financially. They underwrite almost on a daily basis a line of credit they will give to you or me based upon things like how many deals we have pending, our revenue share, stock awards that we have, and the list goes on and on. And with 3 clicks of a button, you can have thousands, tens of thousands to hundreds of thousands of dollars wired into your bank account of choice by 3 p.m. Eastern the same business day. Now, there is a cost to that, like hard money at 12% borrowing costs and a 1.5% origination fee. So it's not the cheapest hard money out there potentially, but it's actually very competitive considering most hard money people will charge anywhere from 16 to 18% on that money. And that's just scratching the surface of the technology that Real has to offer its agents. It also has AI, and now it's coming out with AI search. Yes, that's right. It's not even really out there yet for the masses from the big search portals like Zillow and Redfin, etc. But a real estate brokerage called Real Broker is developing that as we speak. It hopefully should be fully live towards the end of 2026. It is in beta testing right now. So this will be huge. And to try to get the adoption of the agents to use it and send it out to their clients and leads so that they can start consuming it through the AI search that Real is developing for all their agents, they're going to pay each individual agent $1 per minute that your leads interact with your AI search. I'm so thankful, fortunate to be with this company, and I hope you see that maybe it could be a good fit for you too. But back to the comparison, let's talk about fees, revenue share, and stock. Okay, let's talk agent fees because that's the big one, right? Okay, now with Y Realty, there are several different options based upon the type of agent you are. If you are a regular residential agent, you're talking an 80-20 split with a cap of $12,000 for the year. The monthly fee is $149 per month. The E&O, errors and omissions insurance per transaction, is $199 per transaction, but not to exceed $1,499 for the year. Their annual or legal protection fee, they call it, is $300, and their post-cap transaction fee, after you cap, you do have a transaction fee per deal in addition to your E&O for $250. Now comparing the fees to Real, you actually have an 85-15 split, so a little cheaper to be at Real. It's the same cap at $12,000 per year. Monthly fees are zero. That's right, zero. No monthly fees. Having a bad streak, 2-3 months with no closings, you pay zero. You only pay when you play. The E&O is only $40 per transaction. The annual fee is $750. You pay $250 for your first 3 transactions of the year for a total of $750 for the annual fee. And the post-cap transaction fees are $285 per deal. But there is an asterisk next to it for a reason, because that also could be a big benefit for you based upon how many post-cap transaction fees you pay for the year. More on that to come. Now for both brokerages, if you're on a team, that cap is cut in half to where your cap is just $6K. You're still in an 80-20 split with Y Realty and an 85-15 split with Real, but it goes to $6,000 for the year if you're on a team. And with Real, if you're a platinum team, so if you're on a team as a team member and that team does over $100 million of sales per year, then you have the ability, if you want, to go down to a $4,000 cap being on that team. And then if you're a commercial agent, Y Realty charges the same 80-20 split with a cap of $15,000 per year. And with Real, if you're a commercial agent, it's the exact same as being a residential agent. They do not increase the price currently for a commercial agent being at Real Broker. Okay, so what does all this mean? Well, let's compare the two and see which one would be cheaper. We're gonna give 2 examples. One example in which the agent is closing 12 transactions per year, 1 a month. Another example is for maybe a more high producing agent that's closing 36 transactions for the year. Now in this example, we're gonna make some assumptions. We're gonna assume that in this comparison, the average purchase price is $600,000 with a 2.5% commission with the average commission check of $15,000. So that way it's apples to apples. Now let's compare. Okay, so if you're an agent doing 12 deals at Y Realty in this example, you're in an 80-20 split. So you will cap in 4 deals because you're paying $3,000 into the company per transaction that you close on an 80-20 split, which means for the year, you're gonna pay $12,000 on your cap. You're gonna pay the remaining closings at $250 for that post-cap transaction fee for a total of $2,000 for the year. You're gonna pay the annual legal protection of $300. You're gonna pay E&O of $1,499, and you're gonna pay a total monthly fees for the year of $1,788. Now this total equals $17,587 that you'll pay to the company if you're closing 12 deals a year. Now on the flip side, if you're closing 12 deals a year, same type of deals, same numbers at Real Broker, here's the breakdown. You will cap in 5.3 transactions, so your cap will be $12,000 for the year. You will have post-cap transaction fees, a total of $1,995 for the remainder of the year. Your annual fee is $750, and your E&O fees are $480. This brings you a total of $15,225, making it cheaper to be at Real for the year, closing 12 transactions, saving $2,362 being at Real. Okay, so now let's go to the more higher producing agent and see which one is going to be cheaper, Y Realty or Real Broker. If you're at Y Realty doing 36 transactions, your cap will be $12,000. You will pay $8,000 in post-cap transaction fees at $250 a pop. You will pay $300 for your annual legal protection. You will pay $1,499 of E&O fees for the year. You will pay $1,788 in monthly fees for a total of $23,587 for closing 36 transactions at Y Brokerage. Now conversely, if you close 36 transactions at Real Broker, here's the breakdown. Again, you'll cap in 5.3 deals. You will pay a total of post-cap transaction fees of $7,161 because it's broken out in 2 different segments. See, that $285 post-cap transaction fee actually has that benefit. Remember that asterisk we talked about? Because once you pay $285 into the company for a total of $6,000 of that post-cap transaction fee, which is approximately 21 closings. 21 times 285 equals $6,000. Then you hit the elite agent status for the year. Now, there's a big benefit to that, but before I get to that, stay with me here, because once you hit elite agent status by paying $6,000 in post-cap transaction fees, then your per file post-cap transaction fee drops down to $129 per closing. So in this scenario, you pay $6,000 with a 285, then it drops down for the remainder of your closings for the year at $129, giving you a total of $1,161 on top of the $6,000, which brings your total of post-cap transaction fees to $7,161. Your annual fee is $750, your E&O is $1,440, and the cap you pay is $12,000. For the total for Real Broker for closing 36 deals is $21,351, which is $2,236 cheaper to be at Real Broker. But wait, there's a lot more. See, once you hit elite agent status, because Real is publicly traded, they will gift you $16,000 in company stock for hitting the elite agent status. Yes, that's right, $16,000 of company stock. So your cost was $21,351. Well, if they give you $16,000 back, that only makes your cost of being at the brokerage $5,351 for the entire year. But wait, there's still more. If you hit the elite agent status, you are under no obligation to do this, but if you want to teach in Real Academy, because you're eligible to teach in Real Academy once you hit the elite agent status, which requires of one class on Zoom per month for the entire year. So once you teach 12 classes for the entire year, the company for doing that will give you a bonus of $8,000 in company stock. So your net cost at this point was $5,351. Well, if you taught classes for the entire year, you just received another $8,000 in company stock, which means you are up, you're positive $2,649 for closing 36 transactions at the company for the entire year. The company actually paid you to be there net. So if you take all that into consideration in that example, the cost difference of being at Y Realty compared to being at Real Broker, $26,236. Guys, let me say that again, $26,236 cheaper to close the same amount of transactions being at Y Realty versus Real Broker. It's not even close. Oh, and mention the fact that you have stock in a publicly traded company that if it just happens to go up in the future, it could 2x, 3x, 10x the amount of money you actually earned for closing those 36 transactions. Now, I know, disclaimer, it could go down too. I get all that. But the reality is, if it just stayed the same, you're up $23,000 plus in the good for being a Real Broker than doing business at Y Realty. Okay, so now that we have the fees hammered out, and it's pretty obvious which is a better choice there, let's go to stock. Well, at Y Realty, there is no stock. Now, maybe in the future, they will try to offer stock options as a private company and before they go public, if they ever actually do, and then maybe they go public, who knows where the stock will trade, but there are no stock options for doing your real estate business at Y Realty. On Real, on the other hand, there is a lot of stock options. We just covered two of them, which is the elite agent status and then the Culture Award, which is teaching in Real Academy. But there is actually more than that. So you can do the stock purchase plan pre-cap and then post-cap, in which if you contribute 5% pre-cap of your commission, the company will match 10% of that 5% in free money to buy Real stock. And then after you cap, in the post-cap scenario, you can contribute 10% of your commission and the company will match 15% of that 10% in company stock. That's right, free money to buy more stock for you. Kind of like a 401k matching program, kind of like a forced savings account, because every agent at the company is given a free Morgan Stanley brokerage account where this stock is traded and dumped into where it stays. Also, there are two more stock awards being at Real. When you cap on that $12,000 or $6,000 or even $4,000 cap, you receive a stock bonus, a certain number of shares, just as the company saying thank you for being a producing agent, because that's what we really want. Thank you for doing that. Here's your stock award for that. And the last one is the attraction stock award, where if you bring someone else over to the company, introduce them to the company anywhere in America or the 5 provinces in Canada that we operate in, then the company gives you shares as well, just for saying thank you when that agent closes their first transaction. So there's all kinds of ways to earn additional streams of income being at Real Broker. Now let's get to the last one, which is revenue share. This could be the elephant in the room, because this is the one that is literally changing people's lives in terms of the amount of money that some people are making on revenue share, whether they sell a bunch of houses or not. So let's start with Y Realty. Y Realty has 5 levels, and on each level, the percentage is 10%, 10%, 10%, 10%, 10% paid out on each level. But wait, there is a catch, okay? See, that 10% on each level seems like a really big number, but the reality is that 10% is only 10% of the company dollar. So for example, an agent closes a $10,000 gross commission check. Well, the split to the company is 80-20, right? So 20% of that $10,000 goes to the company, so $2,000 is paid to the company in that scenario when agent A closes a deal of $10,000. So if you were the agent that brought in agent A, okay, above them in line 1, let's say, or up here, then you get 10% of the $2,000. Well, that's only $200. Conversely, with Real also has 5 layers deep. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and it's a 5, 4, 3, 2, 1% payout model. So you look at it and go, 10% compared to 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. This looks a lot better. Well, it's not. Why? Because this 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 is paid off the gross commission, not the company dollar. So the optics look way better over here. It's not. This is by far the bigger payout. So for example, in that same example where agent closes a $10,000 commission check, you as a sponsor agent up here get 5%, not of the company dollar. You get 5% of the gross commission. So 5% of $10,000 is $500. So in the example of Y Brokerage, you only got $200. In the example of Real Brokerage, in that same line, you got $500. That's a $300 difference. That's more than double what you get paid out here in the revenue share, and that is huge. And so Y Realty has a disclaimer that says because the agents cap out $12,000 and 10% is the cap, the most an agent can ever be paid on an agent for the entire year is $1,200. Well, you know how much an agent can get paid out in the first line of Real for the year? $4,000. So you have $1,200 in line 1 here, you have $4,000 here. You have $1,200 on line 2, you have $3,200 on line 2 for Real. You have $1,200 here for line 3, you have $2,400 for Real in line 3. $1,200 here in line 4, $1,600 in line 4 for Real. $1,200 in line 5 for Y Realty, $800 in line 5 for Real. So if you total up $1,200 times 5, you get a total of $6,000 that you can make in total on those 5 lines. With Real, you total up the $4,000, $3,200, $2,400, $1,600, and $800, that equals $12,000. So the revenue share payout literally is double what you can be paid at Y Brokerage in the revenue share example. So this is one of many examples as to why the revenue share model with Real is much more lucrative. Now, to be fair, there are no unlocking hurdles with Y Realty. So you get the 10% all the way down, no matter if you have 1 person in line 1 or 10 people in your line 1, right? You still get paid on the people in your bottom lines. With Real, there are unlocking hurdles that you have to achieve. Primarily to unlock line 2, you have to have 5 people in line 1. To unlock line 3, 15 in line 1. To unlock line 4, 20 in line 1, and to unlock line 5, 25 in line 1. However, you also can easily unlock levels by your production because they want producing agents. So if you cap, and when you cap, you will automatically unlock levels 1 through 3 and get paid out on all those levels for the remainder of the year. And if you hit elite agent status, like we talked about earlier, then you automatically unlock levels 1 through 5 and get paid on all 5 levels no matter what for the remainder of the year. So there's a producing way to unlock all those 5 lines. There's an attraction way with people on your line 1 to unlock all 5 levels. So it is not nearly as hard as it used to be because Real actually loosened up a lot of those rules over the past several years to make it easier for people to unlock those bottom levels because the payouts are awesome. I hope this is an informative video on the differences between Y Realty and the Real broker model. Which one is right for you? Well, if you feel that Real is the best choice for you, I would love to chat with you. Give me a call at 480-660-5974 or simply go to growwithrealbrokerage.com and you can sign up right there and put my information. I would love and be honored to be a sponsor for you if you decide to come over to the company. And in doing so, I invested to be a leader and a mentor to you and invested to see you succeed as being a real estate agent with this company. I find it a privilege and an honor to be a sponsor for anyone coming to Real Brokerage. So thank you so much for your time. And if you want to see the information on the Real wallet I was talking about earlier at a much deeper level, then click on the video on the next slide.